The first sign will not be an explosion. It will not be a siren. It will be silence. A cascading systems failure that begins as a flicker, a glitch, a temporary outage, then expands into a synchronized unraveling of power grids, fuel logistics, communications backbones, and water infrastructure. What experts quietly call day zero is not a dramatic apocalypse, but the precise moment when redundancy fails, when repair cycles exceed recovery capacity, when the grid does not come back on schedule. And once that threshold is crossed, the mathematics of modern civilization turns against the population within 72 hours. This is the final transmission before that moment, the strategy that serious resilience engineers understand but most households never prepare for. The danger is not chaos, the danger is dependency density. Modern urban life operates on just-in-time logistics, lean supply chains, and high-energy distribution networks that require uninterrupted power and fuel throughput. Grocery stores do not stock food for weeks, they restock daily. Water systems do not store weeks of treated reserves, they rely on constant pumping and chemical dosing. Hospitals do not maintain unlimited fuel for backup generators, they maintain limited emergency reserves measured in days. When electrical distribution fails at scale, whether from geomagnetic disturbance, coordinated cyber attack, infrastructure overload, or cascading mechanical breakdown, the collapse is not cinematic, it is procedural. Substations trip offline, load balancing fails, frequency instability spreads. Automatic protective relays isolate regions to prevent equipment destruction. The system protects itself by shutting down. And restarting a grid is not flipping a switch. It requires black start generation units, synchronized phasing, and stable transmission corridors. If multiple nodes fail simultaneously, restart becomes exponentially more difficult.
Most people misunderstand the timeline. They believe that emergency management agencies can simply turn things back on. But grid recovery depends on intact transformers, stable control systems, and fuel access for generation facilities. Large power transformers are not warehouse items. They are custom-built, often requiring months to manufacture and transport. Water treatment facilities depend on electrically driven pumps and chemical supply deliveries. Without electricity, pumping stations lose pressure. Without pressure, contamination risks increase. Wastewater treatment halts. Backup generators help temporarily, but generators depend on diesel deliveries. Diesel distribution depends on functioning refineries and pipeline pumps. Pipelines depend on electricity. The interdependency is circular. When one fails, it stresses the others. This is not speculation. It is documented in infrastructure resilience studies and federal emergency planning exercises that model extended grid outages. The hidden science most people overlook is energy return on infrastructure. Modern society runs on high net energy systems. The electrical grid allows centralized energy to power decentralized consumption. Remove the grid, and individuals must produce or store their own usable energy. But energy density matters. A small portable generator consuming half a gallon of fuel per hour can provide temporary relief, yet that fuel supply depletes quickly without resupply. Solar panels offer renewable input, but without battery storage and charge controllers designed for islanded operation, they cannot sustain critical loads overnight or during overcast periods. The overlooked principle is load prioritization. In a grid-down scenario, survival is determined not by how much energy you generate, but by how little energy you require. Resilience engineers design microgrids to support only critical systems: medical refrigeration, minimal lighting, communication devices, water purification pumps, while eliminating non-essential loads. Most households never practice load shedding. They never measure actual wattage requirements. They assume availability.
Evidence from historical blackouts reinforces this. During the Northeast blackout of 2003, power restoration took days for millions. Water advisories followed, fuel stations closed without power for pumps, cellular networks overloaded as backup batteries drained. During Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, grid restoration required months in some areas. Hospitals operated on constrained fuel, supply chains fractured. Mortality studies later showed that indirect deaths from medical equipment failure and infrastructure collapse exceeded initial storm fatalities. The pattern repeats globally. Infrastructure fragility is not dramatic, but it is lethal when compounded by time. Day zero is not the storm itself, it is the prolonged absence of restoration. The survival implication is stark. If you are dependent on electrically pumped municipal water, refrigeration, digital communication, and daily food replenishment, you have a narrow window, often less than 72 hours, before scarcity begins influencing behavior. Panic buying is not irrational hysteria, it is emergent scarcity response. When shelves empty and fuel lines extend, social stress increases. Emergency services become overstretched. Law enforcement cannot maintain presence everywhere. The mistake is assuming that preparedness equals hoarding supplies. Supplies without systems fail quickly. Water stored in containers runs out. Food without preparation methods spoils. Fuel without rotation degrades. The forbidden strategy is systems thinking, building layered resilience that reduces dependency instead of merely stockpiling goods.
Consider water. The average person requires several liters per day for hydration alone, more for sanitation and food preparation. Municipal systems treat and pressurize water using electrically powered pumps and chemical disinfectants such as chlorine. When power fails, pressure drops. Without pressure, contaminants infiltrate through cracks and cross connections. Boil water advisories become common after outages, but boiling requires fuel. The overlooked science is decentralized purification redundancy. Gravity-fed filtration systems properly rated for bacterial and protozoan removal can function without electricity. However, viruses are smaller and require additional treatment, often chemical disinfection or advanced filtration membranes. Storing water is temporary insurance. Having purification capacity is long-term resilience. Few households test their filtration systems under realistic daily usage conditions. Fewer understand flow rates, filter lifespan, or turbidity impact. In an extended outage, sediment-laden surface water can clog filters rapidly. Without pre-filtration and maintenance planning, systems fail. Energy follows similar logic. A battery bank sized for critical loads must account for depth of discharge limits to preserve lifespan. Lead-acid batteries degrade if deeply discharged repeatedly. Lithium iron phosphate offers better cycle life, but requires proper battery management systems. Solar arrays must be wired with safe disconnects and surge protection to prevent damage during voltage spikes. Most importantly, electrical systems must be isolated from the grid during outages to prevent backfeed hazards that can electrocute line workers. Professional installation and testing matter. Improvised wiring during crisis increases fire risk. House fires during blackouts are common due to candle misuse and generator backfeed. The survival strategy is not improvisation, it is pre-engineered redundancy.
Food systems reveal another misunderstanding. Caloric storage is not sufficient without nutritional balance. Vitamin deficiencies can develop within weeks if diets become limited to refined grains and processed carbohydrates. Protein preservation requires proper storage conditions. Canned goods have long shelf lives, but depend on intact seals and temperature stability. Freeze-dried foods offer longevity, but require water for rehydration. Again, dependency loops appear. If water is scarce, certain food types become impractical. Moreover, cooking fuel becomes critical. Natural gas distribution may remain functional briefly, but compressor stations also rely on electricity. Propane storage requires safe handling and regulator maintenance. Charcoal produces carbon monoxide and cannot be used indoors. The science of combustion safety becomes survival knowledge. Communication during grid failure is another overlooked domain.
Cellular networks rely on tower batteries and generator backups that typically last hours to a few days. Once depleted, connectivity drops. Amateur radio operators historically provide auxiliary communication during disasters because radio waves propagate without centralized infrastructure. However, radio use requires licensing knowledge in many jurisdictions and practical training. A handheld transceiver is useless without understanding frequency bands, repeaters, and antenna tuning. Emergency communication planning includes establishing contact schedules, predefined channels, and power conservation methods. In long-duration events, information scarcity increases psychological stress. Reliable communication reduces panic and enables coordination.
Escalation occurs when multiple systems fail simultaneously. Imagine a heat wave during grid collapse. Air conditioning ceases. Urban heat islands intensify. Dehydration risk increases. Hospitals overflow. Backup generators struggle under sustained load. Fuel deliveries slow due to traffic control failure and refinery outages. Water treatment falters. The compounding effect accelerates mortality, especially among vulnerable populations. Now adds supply chain interruption due to transportation network paralysis. Modern logistics depend on computerized routing, fuel availability, and functional ports. Without electricity, port cranes stop. Refrigerated containers lose cooling. Food spoilage escalates. Insurance models call this cascading failure. Emergency managers call it complex catastrophe. The transition from inconvenience to survival crisis is gradual, then sudden. The first 24 hours feel manageable. The second day introduces uncertainty. By the third day, structural shortages emerge. This is where the hidden prepper strategy diverges from mainstream advice. It is not about fleeing immediately. It is about threshold monitoring, understanding when infrastructure restoration probability drops below viability. Utility companies provide restoration estimates based on damage assessment. If assessments reveal transformer destruction, transmission line collapse, or fuel supply interruption, timelines extend dramatically. Monitoring official grid operator updates, weather forecasts, and fuel supply reports allows rational decision-making. Evacuation is dangerous without fuel certainty and destination support. Staying is dangerous without water and energy redundancy. The strategy is adaptive response based on real-time infrastructure intelligence.
Scientific emergency management emphasizes the concept of resilience triads: water, energy, communication. If you can secure these three domains independently for at least 14 days, your probability of navigating extended outages increases substantially. 14 days is not arbitrary. It reflects historical restoration averages for major disasters in developed regions, excluding extreme scenarios. Most households cannot sustain 3 days. This gap between perception and capacity is the vulnerability. The next layer of hidden science involves human physiology under stress. Sleep deprivation from heat, noise, and anxiety impairs judgment. Dehydration reduces cognitive performance. Caloric deficit weakens immune response. Infections spread more easily when sanitation declines. Without waste management, pathogens proliferate. The safe disposal of human waste becomes critical when sewage systems fail. Improvised latrine systems require proper distancing from water sources and soil considerations to prevent contamination. Lime application can reduce odor but does not neutralize all pathogens. Gloves and hand hygiene become life-preserving tools. Alcohol-based sanitizers require sufficient concentration. When supplies diminish, soap and water remain effective if water is available.